Uh-oh, you are having some spending issues with TikTok. I hope not. I wanted to put this in the outside variables module just because it didn't quite fit in with the content plan for running the ads. But if this issue happens, and honestly, it's really more of a when type of deal versus if, it'll usually happen to you at some point. Usually it happens, what I've noticed for me, it happens most when I'm trying to scale, I'm increasing the ad spend, and I really clog up the couple of campaigns that I have. So I'm doing a lot of duplicates, a lot of similar audiences, doing a lot of the same videos. So changing variables is good, separating things into other campaign definitely helps. But here's what you can do if it happens, because it's pretty quick to overcome this problem, and I've never not been able to get past it within 3 days. So just note, it always takes a day or two. Pretty simple. So some things to do immediately. And by the way, spending issue would mean, hey, I'm spending $1,000 a day, and suddenly at 3 p.m. it stops spending money. The next day it spends $2. Like, you'll know when it stops spending. You'll see that drop off immediately. When I notice that, I do this first thing. I make a few support tickets, not just one. I fill out multiple support tickets for kind of different things, saying the same thing. I do this just because some departments respond quicker than others. Now, I do this every single time, and the problem has gotten fixed every single time. Now, TikTok will never say, oh yeah, we fixed your spending problem. They'll never admit to a spending problem. They'll say, oh, well, maybe you should try this, or we'll recommend that, or honestly, we don't know. Like, they will actually say that. They are of no help in that regard, but somehow it magically always gets fixed, and I always reach out. So I'm not really sure if it's that or if it's my other things that I'm doing, but I just do everything because I don't want spending issues for very long. So one thing I do, I'll turn off a campaign if I have a ton of ad sets clogged up in there. There might be a lot of stuff going on. You need a reset. I also will duplicate a few of the absolute best performers and put them into a new campaign. That's one thing I'll do because I want to keep some spend going. Another thing I'll do is launch some super new broad audiences. I'll try a low budget at 20, a high at like 150 or $500 a day, whatever. And I'll just try different stuff to see if either of those start spending. This is my favorite thing to do that I do non-negotiable every time. I always launch a view content ad group, optimizing for view content instead of complete payment, which you saw when we were going through and structuring the ads, how to do that. And I think I mentioned it in there with the spending issue. But this will always spend. I have never had this not spend. A view content always spends. I always launch it for a day or two and then turn it off because everything else usually starts spending. And just so you know, you'll probably see 50 or 60% of your ad spend come back the next day, 70 to 80%, and then back to 100. It kind of comes back to life. It takes a day or two. And the last thing I'll do is I'll also try a day parting ad with a really broad audience and running for at least half the day. Don't go to a micro specific 2-hour window of when you think you got the best sales. Leave it broad, leave it open, but you're turning it off so it's not running halfway through the day, or for half of the day. It's automatically only running half the day. I feel like doing that, especially with a decent budget, it just kind of dumps some spend on there and it almost forces it to spend. So I'm literally just trying to force the ad account to spend. Reaching out to support is always kind of my golden goose whenever I'm having a spending issue. I do that. I'll fill out a couple support tickets. It could be that, honestly, that solves it, but I do everything because it's not that hard to do, and it has always worked for me. So that's how I overcome these spending issues. Again, it's probably something that you will run into, especially when you're scaling past $2,000 to $3,000 a day in ad spend. So I hope not, but it is possible. And wanted to talk about it. So hope you enjoyed.